Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Alright, so today we are going to be covering Tearlaments. I was actually going to do this deck sooner in the season, but I did want to wait until I got the El Shadal Winda to include her in the deck, and I did pull one. Check out yesterday's video if you want to see me pull her and some other very, very good pulls. But yeah, very glad to have the Winda in the deck now. So this isn't a card that comes up super often, and indeed, despite playing about somewhere like 15-ish games this morning, I did not have one, unfortunately, where Winda came up. So I really wanted this video to summon her, but we'll get a chance. We'll definitely get a chance in the future. But I haven't owned a copy of Winda before this one, so this is my first build with it. That said, it's not too different from a lot of the Tearlaments builds that I have shown in the past. It's a pretty standard pure build. Now, one of the things you might be wondering is, where's the Lightsworn stuff? Don't you want to try that out and include it? Aside from just not really being particularly interested in pulling for the pack personally, I have seen quite a bit of gameplay, and also shown on the channel a decent bit of gameplay with Lightsworns here, and I would be willing to be wrong about this, but I'm not completely convinced that it's actually better than pure Tearlament, because we did see when the Horus cards came out that at the end of the day, pure Tearlament did kind of still end up being the way to go, right? So I suspect the same might be true here. I have seen people say that the Lightsworn variant does help with milling, which helps with kind of the RNG aspect of Tearlament, but if you want my opinion, there really isn't that much of an RNG aspect to Tearlament at all. There are some times where you do have to kind of go gambling a little bit in order to, find your plays or to maybe get plays started, whether it's like just, with a Scream or a Havness effect, during your opponent's turn. Sometimes you're just trying to mill the top few cards of your deck and see what you hit, right? Some hands you kind of can't help but do that, but generally speaking, I think the game plan of Tearlament is actually very consistent and not nearly as reliant on like RNG just milling as some people say, right? Not just because of the fact that we have Rhinoheart, but of course we do have the Rhinoheart in order to be able to consistently send whatever we want to the graveyard, but it's really not that hard in general to make Kikalos. Also, especially true when you have cards like Foolish Burial, but also notably Tearlament's Grief to help you out. But it's not that hard to make Kikalos, and really depending on your hand, because, the default is to, with Kikalos, then go into the Tear Cache, right? And then from there, you mill a total of 10, because you mill the Tear Cache off Kikalos, that's 2. Then Kikalos, after bring back the Tear Cache, that's 5 from Kikalos, and then 3 more from Tear Cache for a total of 10. So you could do that, but there are some hands, especially if you're under maxing, this is very true, but even if you are just holding certain cards, it can actually just be better sometimes to just add one of the trap cards with the Kikalos instead of going for the RNG. So excuse me, I feel like the RNG aspect kind of gets a rap from people just kind of defaulting to always doing the Tear Cache line. But there are certain moments where I think it's better to add a trap card. Again, under Max C is the big one, but there are certain hands where I think it's valid as well. However, that said, when it comes to, RNG, doing the Tear Cache play is actually a pretty safe bet, because it will, as I said, mill you a total of 10 cards, which is, a fourth of our deck, right? So that in mind, we have a really high chance to hit something relevant. Even if it's not a Fuser, it could still be a Fairy Tale Snow, it could be some of the Shufflers, it could be Performage Trick Clown, it could be Destrudo, it could be any of our Tearlament spell or trap cards that might have a relevant effect when they get milled, right? And of course, it's on top of it possibly being Shiren as well. So I do think there is a lot of room for the Tearlament deck to kind of make those more luck-based plays, because it's really more safe, right? So, and again, that is kind of the idea behind including Lightsworn into the Tearlament deck, is to add to those mills and make that RNG, even more favorable. But to be totally honest, again, I'm not really fully convinced it's needed, but I am prepared to be wrong. I think either way, pure Tearlament will be, even if Lightsworn Tearlament does still end up being the best variant, I think that pure Tearlament will still be like very, very comparable. It's like the Horus cards, right? You know, while I do think that pure Tearlament is better than playing them with Horus, I don't think Tearlament decks with Horus are bad at all. In fact, we very consistently see those style of Tearlament decks topping tournaments and then getting up to Master 1 as well. So I'm assuming a lot of you probably know Tearlament by this point. As usual, I'm gonna skip going through all of the cards like individually one by one. But I do want to talk about a few particular choices here. A lot of them are pretty typical stuff you'd expect to see. Now we're playing the Shaddoll Beast, which I wasn't before because I didn't have Winda, but now we have Winda. So we also are playing one triple attack as well as one droplet, one of each of these cards as board breakers. And normally in the past I would have liked to have played 2 of one instead of 1 of each, but I don't know, I kind of like the idea of playing 1 of each actually the more I think about it, because while if you double up on one of these cards you will see that particular card more often, the thing is you don't really want to draw 2 copies of either of these cards pretty much ever. So I really like the idea of actually playing 1 and 1. I actually found this list on, it was a list that had, like, I found it on Untapped, and it had, like, what was it? It was like 70 some games at like a 58% win rate. So, you know, it was very, very solid. The only change that I made is I'm playing Shooter Riser Dragon instead of the Deep Sea Diva Prima Donna, because it's a UR. And I might craft this card. It's definitely not bad in Tearlament. It's actually useful in Ice Barrier as well. But, I don't know, I'm not even fully convinced that the Shooting Riser Dragon is even, like, yeah, I'm playing it as a budget option, but I'm not even convinced this is worse, because what Shooting Riser can do is dump the Fairy Tale Snow to set that up during your opponent's turn. You can also actually dump one of the Shufflers as well, so whereas the Prima Donna is more of a consistency booster grab, like your level 4, basically any level 4 lower water monster in the deck, right? Probably going to be like the Rhino Heart or maybe a Sea Mare or something, so I guess it depends on what you value getting more of, and I do definitely see the merit, of course, in getting more copies of Rhino Heart, but again, just don't know if I want to fully commit to crafting a UR here, but it's on my radar. As far as the rest of the extra deck goes, we got the Synchros you'd expect to see, of course, all the fusions you would as well. I will say there's no Zeus here. We're playing 3 rank 4s, but no Zeus. I think I did have a game where I was like, oh, I could make Zeus, but even then it's like, it wouldn't be like, I mean, it would be good, obviously, but it wouldn't be necessary to win the duel. Because I see a lot of Tearlament decks that are on like the Redoer as their only rank 4, but also the Zeus, and I don't really know if I like that, because I've played lists like that quite a bit, and I don't think I've ever once actually gone into the Zeus with the Redoer, especially because the Redoer always banishes itself and then comes back without materials, and it's like, what are you going to do, battle with it and then throw Zeus on for 1 mat Zeus, you know? It's like, it just, I don't know, even with Dugaris, because this also requires you to detach both materials, I don't feel like it makes that much sense to play Zeus. Dweller, I think, makes the most amount of sense because it detaches 1 material at a time, but I actually definitely see why this list chose to forego the Zeus there. SP Lomite, of course, is still here. I also appreciate that this list doesn't have Cross Sheep in it, because, like, while I understand the merit of Cross Sheep in this deck, I've never been in a situation, and to be fair, I'm not the most experienced Tearlament player, but I've never been in a situation where I'm, like, going off so hard that I can summon Cross Sheep and, like, do something, like, super significant with it, right? But, to be fair, I think that might be true more of the Horus builds anyway, but anyway. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about as far as like the build itself goes. Like I said, it's a pretty standard pure Tearlament build, so let's go ahead and check out some of these duels. Alright, so our first opponent is going to be on Dragon Link Centurion. That's a fun deck combination there. But also kind of a poor matchup for us, if you think about it, because they're going to have a lot of Bestials, which is not going to be the easiest to play through necessarily. So we're going to be taking the first turn here. Excuse me, gonna start with the Scream, of course, before normal summoning Rhino Heart. Proccing both effects, chain blocking the Rhino Heart naturally, making it Chainlink 1. Scream Chainlink 2, mills Destrudo and Tear Cash, milling Havnus off the Rhino Heart. Gonna do Chainlink 1 Havnus, Chainlink 2 Tear Cash, and there is that Bestial as mentioned. Opponent's going to Ball Drake the Havnus here. Certainly not ideal, but let's see if we can mill something off the Tear Cash here at least. Did mill a Mudora and a Scream as well, so going to be able to grab Meta Noise, set that alongside the Droplet before passing over to our opponent. So while obviously this is not an ideal situation to end turn 1 on, I actually don't hate the spot that we're in at all, really. I do have a Maxi, of course, that is always nice. But furthermore, as I mentioned before, I do have this Mudora to counter plays, the Droplet to pitch the Trivikarma to both stop and to set up plays. The Meta Noise can also both stop and set up plays by turning a monster face down and letting me set up a fusion as well. For this reason, it also shouldn't be too difficult for me to play around the Baldrake either. Opponent's going to lead by normal summoning the Safer. I'm going to, of course, activate the Scream effect, milling Shyren and Trick Clown off the top 3 there. I'm going to chain block the Shyren Fuse effect, summoning the Trick Clown first, and now Shyren F will fuse the Tear Cache and Shyren in my yard in order to summon the Kitkalos. Of course, the Baldrake effect will get to activate here, but of course, on top of activating Kitkalos, I will use the Droplet pitching the Trivikarma. So we get to negate the Baldrake's effect, keep our Kitkalos, and also get a search off the Trivikarma. Oh yeah, and then we're going to mill the Tear Cache off Kitkalos to get some more mills as well. I don't know, I actually, now that I think about it, I really should have just sent... Oh, but Havnus is banished, that's why I did that, duh. I was going to say I should have sent Havnus and made Rolkalos, but I can't do that here. Awful mills. They did have the Collapse Serpent in hand, but we have the Maxi. I figured, yeah, they'd probably just go straight into the Chaos Angel afterwards. Now, I could Mudora here right now to ensure they won't get to summon the Wyver Burster, but if they do want to summon the Wyver Burster, I'm actually pretty okay with that, because it will, of course, give me more draws, right? So, I'm definitely not going to Ash here. That's, of course, I don't think that's right at all. And we do lose the Kitkalos to the, what's it called, the Banish. What card banished it? Why can't I words brain? Chaos Angel, this one, jeez. I totally just spaced out for a second. Now, if my opponent did attack the Rhinoheart here, I would have chained Meta Noise, but for some reason they battled over Trick Clown instead. That is completely fine with me. They're just going to pass right back over to me. So they did not want to play under the Maxi at all. The Chaos Angel is made with only dark monsters. Remember, it was Baldrake and Collapse Serpent, so thankfully we are not having to worry about the protection effect there. We top-decked Rhinoheart, meaning the Pearl Rhino doesn't get to do too much here. I guess I'll just add a Shyren here, because why not? I'm going to mill 3, not some particularly relevant mills, but the added Shyren does let me go for the Kaleidoheart here, which is nice. So it did actually end up mattering. I'm going to use the Kaleidoheart to put the Chaos Angel back. I should have actually blown it up with Pearl Rhino, I think, to destroy it so they can't resummon it potentially on their turn. Alright, so after battling with the Rhinoheart, I'm going to summon the Destrudo. I should have summoned that first, so they'd be down at 1500, but like I mentioned in the deck profile, I'm going to set up Shooting Riser here, and the Shooting Riser effect is going to mill the Snow. Now, Snow can't be summoned during my turn, that it's the same turn it's milled, but I do get summoned during the opponent's turn, so... you'll notice that during the draw phase, I'm actually firing off the Mudora against the Baldrake and Collapse Serpent in my opponent's graveyard. I definitely need to do this before the main phase, because my opponent's going to have the first action on the main phase, because turn player always has first priority on their main phase. And if I let that happen, they'll be able to summon the Wyver Burster right away as the first action. So that's why I Mudora'd specifically during the draw phase. Alright, they're going to pitch Lubellion, which I'm actually going to Ash Blossom. This might seem a little bit weird. You might think that a Dragon Link deck has better Ash targets, but think about this for a moment. So, we know they're going to try to grab the Lubellion to go for a Bestial monster. If they're able to successfully summon that, they can sack it to summon the Lubellion, and now they'll have a Dark monster in the yard. So, we know one of the 4 cards in hand is Wyver Burster, meaning if I negate this, then they'll only have 3 live cards to play off of. Lubellion was pretty obviously their top deck. I feel like they definitely would have used this on their turn if they had had it. So this tells me these are cards that they had in hand last turn, which means they're not as likely to be as impactful. Now, granted, my opponent did try to not play under Maxi, so they could still have some gas here. Alright, the Safer here threatens to grab the Collapse Serpent, so we're going to use the Meta Noise to turn that face down. That eats our opponent's normal summon. It not only prevents them from using the Safer effect, but also using it as a link material, and they still can't get a Dark monster in the graveyard for Wyver Burster, which means that we are able to come out on top here. So, Yeah, I mean, that was definitely not a ideal game as far as like actually making our plays right, because we lost both our Havnus and our Kiklos. Both got banished during that game, so that sounds very scary. But having watched the duel, I mean, I felt very in control of the game the entire time. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's really cool about Tearlaments is that, like, even when it seems like you might be falling behind, it really just comes down to, like, Tearlaments a lot about answering what's going on in the moment, right? Like, finding the line, as opposed to necessarily always maintaining the resource loop at all costs, like some other decks. So, we were able to find the line here, and even though we lost a lot of our valuable resources, still able to have control again pretty much the entire game. So, all right, good first duel. Let's go ahead and see the next one. Okay, our next opponent is going to be playing Labyrinth. So, let's see how we do here. Labyrinth is actually one of those resource loop decks like I was alluding to towards the end of that last game. That's kind of like, I don't know. Obviously, there's a lot of different kinds of Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. When it comes to decks that, like, aren't stun, I guess, I find they're either, like, find the line or maintain the resource loop. Alright, so Maxi is going to successfully resolve here. As a result, I'm actually going to mill the Tier Cache. This is a little bit of a weird hand having Havnus and Shiren, but it's not necessarily horrible. So, get a Tier Cache, try to mill a couple of cards, see if I hit anything good. I don't, but I do get to triple attack here. Look at my opponent's hand and put one back. So I look at their hand, we see Arias, okay. So that's what our opponent's been getting past priority for. Lab, the field spell, Ice Dragon Prison, and the Black Goat Laughs. So I wasn't really sure whether to hit the Black Goat Laughs or Ice Dragon's Prison because, while the Black Goat Laughs is certainly scary in terms of its effects, like, I am a little more scared of my stuff getting banished. So, oh, but it's type, not attribute. These are different types and attributes anyway. Anyway, I ended up taking the Ice Dragon's Prison, but now that I'm actually looking at it, I maybe should have taken the Black Goat Laughs. Either way, we're going to send a drop one and then just pass here. So, feeling pretty good. My opponent's hand's pretty dead right now. They activate the Lab. Going for Arias, huh? Trying to activate the Black Goat Laughs, maybe? Nope, they just casually peeled Welcome Labyrinth. Like, literally the best possible top deck they could have gotten here. So, that's always nice. That's sarcasm. It's not nice at all. We do get to use Havnus' effect here in response to Ariana. Of course, they get to bring back Arias as well. But I think it's worth it to get the mill 3 here. They can summon Chaos Angel now, which is a little scary, but going for the Ariana as well as the Tear Scream effect. Tear Scream, I'm going to add Soliac. Just because I figured it'd probably be more relevant than Meta Noise or Crime. They're going to battle over Rhino Heart, but not Havnus here. I was a little confused by that attack. Because they could have gone this... I guess they would have had to have crashed, right? Never mind. I guess they didn't want to crash the Arias. That makes a little bit of sense. So, they're going to go for the rank 4 DDD Divisor King Deus Machinax, which doesn't negate effects that are activated, monster effects, but it does attach those monsters as material. So, going to have to be mindful of that. Drawing a Tearlaments Scream here. We're going to activate that before normal summoning the Shiren. Tear Scream is going to mill 3 here. Unfortunately, didn't find anything really relevant, though. So, I'm going to go for the Typhoon. And basically, my plan here is to battle over the Arias and then bounce the DD Divisor King. Except, oops, they had a big Welcome Lab as their draw. How ridiculous is that? Because that wasn't a search, right? That was a straight up draw. Oh, no, it was a search. Never mind. I'm a dummy. Yeah. They searched it off of the... I'm a dummy. I thought they top decked this. No, they searched off the Ariana. I just completely missed that. They did top deck that first Welcome Lab, but I guess I was just so caught up in that one. But, yeah, no, that's going to be it here. So, fortunately, can't really do too much with that one. So, I don't know. I think that maybe I should have actually tried to play under the Max C. Like, I didn't even touch on that, which I meant to. That's one of the main reasons I kept this game, because it was at that moment when I milled the Tier Cache, right? Yeah. Well, it wasn't even really about milling... No, it was about milling Tier Cache, because I did have Shiren and Havnus in hand. I could have set up a Kiklos that way, but I really should have just milled the Shiren anyway. I tried too hard to play around the max C. Because my thought process was like, okay, if I play completely around max C, right, I can hand her up with triple attack and still have droplet. I thought that would be enough, but I think that, like, it's weird because I think sometimes you can be too greedy in how safe you're trying to be. I know that sounds really paradoxical, but I think I did try to play way too safe. I tried to have everything in that regard, which I think was a little bit greedy. So, yeah, I really should have just made the Kikolos and, like, set Crime. Yeah, I should have set Crime. I had both fusers in hand. That was very much the best thing to have done there. So that was, I think, my main misplay here. Of course, they did get insanely lucky by top-decking the Welcome Lab, but to be fair, if I'd played into that one draw, they would have drawn it. I could have put it back. So, you know, I guess it's all about just being willing to give them at least one draw under Maxi. That's not too bad. Anyway, we have one more game to take a look at before we finish off. Let's do that. Oh, I actually clicked play before looking at the deck. I don't usually do that, but you know what? Let's just, oh, I'm trying to remember, actually, because this game was just earlier today. What game was this? Okay, we're going second. Oh, I think this is this another lab deck? I did play against a 60-card lab deck at some point. This might be it. They did set 3 pass. Yeah, I think this is another lab deck. Alright, so our opening hand is a little weird, but we do get to Tearlaments Heartbeat. Unfortunately, we hit a D barrier, so we're going to chain that and target Fusion. It's actually really not that big of a deal, because I'm probably not fusing with a hand like this anyway, but I would have rather gotten would have liked to have had the ability to send a card, like the Trivikarma, but I'll just set the Super Poly and Meta Noise and pass here. We're going to Arias for the lovely Lab from hand, actually not for a trap card, which is a little bit surprising. I did misplay. I should have actually Meta Noise after this was successfully summoned, because I could have prevented them from setting the D barrier face down, but we still get to send the Havness and then go for the Kitkalos here. Kikolos F going to activate. They're going to Impermit. That's completely fine with me. I don't care about that at all. So they have D-Barrier and Lovely face down, one unknown face down, and one unknown card in hand. Looks like they're going to Tribute for the Arias before going to the end phase. Not really sure why they did that. I don't know, because Arias is from hand only, right? No, it is hand or field. Never mind. Okay, that does make a lot more sense. Potentially. It depends on what the last face down card is, but either way, we can Super Poly the Kikolos with the Arias for the Predaplant Dragostapelia. Again, the D barrier is, of course, still not able to be used yet, so we're going to Kikolos mill 5 as well as Trivikarma to add. Trivikarma is, of course, going to add the Pearl Rhino. That's like the one we don't want to mill, so and will give us play. So we'll add that. Milling a Shiren here as well, and our opponent is like, nope. They just said, I am out. I am not dealing with all of that. So while I did misplay by giving them the D barrier, it ultimately didn't end up mattering. We were able to still fuse during their end phase because, of course, if you've played against Tearlaments for any amount of time, you very well know that it's not just my turn or your turn. They're our turns. But a little more mine than yours. Anyway, yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Thanks, as always, for watching. Super appreciate you. We really do. I mean, watching towards the end of the video is like one of the best ways to support the channel. So thank you very much. Let's go ahead and just move on now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.